Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. New fire broke out overnight. Ventura County, California, just west of Malibu. Continuous coverage of the wildfires, folks. High wind alert warning today. Critical day, folks, when it comes to these wildfires that we've been covering since day one. This was the scene last night, late at night. More fires. Also, folks, I'm looking at this home alert, California, and it seems like a fire broke out just a little bit ago. San Diego area in Ramona, if you guys are not familiar with San Diego, Ramona, it's to the south, So Santa Ana winds all over the place, continuous coverage of these fires, not out of the woods yet. These next 2 days are going to be crucial to stopping any potential spread of any fires. All it takes is one spark and then winds. And this is the response. Massive response last night. I was actually looking at the clips a little bit earlier because I was asleep last night when this happened, to be honest. And it looked like little army men out there. The firefighters were out there in full force battling this blaze, which they call it the auto fire. They call this one the auto fire. I don't know where they come up with these names. But they say it hasn't progressed. However, it is only 0% contained, which means hot spots and embers places, and it's not contained as of this morning. Now, we're going to get an update. Like we will most likely get an update at the top of the hour, next hour, 11 a.m., 8 a.m. Pacific, to get updates on what is going on. Every day that we've been talking on JLR Investigates, we've been sharing mugshots. Each live that we feature and put someone's face on blast, as you see in the photo here in the mugshot of this scary individual. These are people that have been arrested, quite a few of them now, arrested for looting, arson, burglary, criminals. So we'll continue to cover it on that aspect and shame these people and put their faces out there. So what they're saying, folks, is the latest with these fires. And it seems like there's 4 major fires now that are still brewing. 4. Palisades, as we know, the Palisades is the very first fire that started. 17% contained as of this morning. The blaze has burned roughly 23,700 acres and killed 8 people. By the way, 24 people are reported dead. And they're saying about 20 people or so are still missing. Now, I don't know if those numbers are going to go up or down. A lot of times when it comes with these catastrophes and disasters, the missing count goes up way high, and then it weeds itself down because some people are ended up being found, or they were at a relative's house or whatever. But it seems like it's about 20 people. I don't know the number. I'm seeing numbers between 20 and 25 that are missing. But just say, I mean, it could be more, it could be less. But it just shows that, people are still missing out there, apparently. This Palisades fire burned 23,700 acres. The fire of the Palisades destroyed 5,300 acres. 5,000 acres. That's like a small town. Eaton fire, which, by the way, the Eaton fire kind of started up a little bit last night. There wasn't much feeds about what was going on. They say that is 35% contained. That's near Pasadena, Altadena. That area got leveled. 16 people died in that area. It burned 14,100 acres. And more than 7,000 structures were destroyed or damaged. more destruction. You know, the Palisades, we've been talking about the Palisades. Beautiful homes there, $3 million homes. Actually, be honest, more damage has been done from the Eaton fire than the Palisades fire, with more deaths and more structures destroyed. Palisades fire burned more acreage because that's a very remote area up in those hills above the summit, going up towards Encino. I'm learning a lot about geography too, covering these fires. You got another fire, the Hearst fire. We don't hear much about the Hearst fire, but they say that's 97% contained. So that's pretty much contained at this point. That burned about 800 acres. So what you're seeing here is called the auto fire. This was the auto fire, and it busted out last night. Is it arson? It's pretty impressive looking, to be honest. These fires at night, when we get the footage at night, the aerial footage, they're pretty impressive. These fire lines. This fire here, they said, started at a river bottom. River bottom, meaning there was no water in the river bottom. A lot of those river bottoms out there out west are dried up, and they're only used when it actually rains, and the rain funnels down through the valleys and the canyons into these like river bottoms. But could be full of water, could not be. That blaze, what you see there, 56 acres. That's about 56 acres right there of fire. Though the containment remains 0%, Ventura County firefighters said they were able to halt the fire's forward progress. So we're probably going to get an update on that. Maybe not today, though, from Los Angeles authorities, since that was Ventura. Maybe, maybe not. Now, I want to share something about a high wind alert. So I'm going to play a clip here talking about the high winds. That's the issue. The issue today and tomorrow are the high winds. So I'm going to share a clip about the high winds.
Tonight, a new brush fire erupting in Ventura County.
The wind is blowing this fire right along the riverbed.
The Los Angeles area enduring heavy winds and fire flare-ups hours after a special moment during the LA Rams playoff game.
This is my fight song.
Los Angeles firefighters honored as fans held up an LA Together banner. The Rams going on to win. In Altadena, these workers were busy clearing brush, trying to create a break in the bone-dry vegetation that could fuel more fires. Planes nearby dumping plumes of flame retardant.
Overhead, you can hear the aircraft dumping all of that Phos-Chek on the mountains. And down below, there are hundreds of firefighters who've carved this fire break through this canyon.
The Eaton fire has already burned 14,000 acres, and overnight was just 33% contained. Across LA, the Palisades fire, which leveled entire communities, was just 14% contained. More than 12,000 homes and buildings have been damaged or destroyed in the fire zone. This map shows where the winds could gust the highest today, with a red flag warning through noon tomorrow.
They said 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be very difficult to contain that fire.
Altadena residents are sharing these images they say might show the origins of the Eaton fire, showing flames at the base of an electrical transmission tower. ABC News has learned at least 4 homeowners and renters have filed lawsuits against Southern California Edison, claiming the company failed to de-energize equipment despite high wind warnings. The head of SoCal Edison's parent company says they've seen no indication their equipment started the fire, but they're aware of the videos and are investigating. And support from across the world and in their own community. Hundreds of volunteers handing out clothes, food, and other essentials to displaced families. First responders on the ground are also getting support from abroad. Places like Mexico, South Africa, Canada, even Ukraine. They're coming here to help with firefighters. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Altadena.
Ukraine.
Due to the Eaton fire disaster zone, that's in Altadena, and many of the homes there have been owned by African-American families for decades. Why did they live there? Well, they were because of redlining, they were excluded from nearby cities like Glendale and La Cañada Flintridge. Fox 11's Susan Hirasuna live with their story. Susan.
Well, we're in Pasadena right now, Alex, and that's because we needed better connectivity. But let me tell you a little bit more about the community of Altadena. It is an unincorporated area of the county, and back in the 70s, after the Civil Rights Movement, after President Johnson passed the Fair Housing Act, there became a migration into Altadena. That's because once you have one family there, then others follow, right? Meantime, I want to introduce you to Willie Jackson. He raised his family there. He's got 9 grandchildren. He is among those who lost everything.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all that I ask. Yesterday is gone, and tomorrow may not be mine.
81-year-old Willie Jackson is keeping the faith. That's despite the loss of his home and all that was precious inside.
Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus.
Jackson made Altadena his home in the 70s when redlining prevented him from buying a home in nearby cities.
What redlining does is not allow minorities to acquire loans in designated areas. So if you can't get a loan, obviously you cannot buy the house. And then there are actually cases where the realtor just wouldn't sell you the house.
He was among the first to move to Altadena. Eventually, the neighborhood became an enclave for African Americans. By some accounts, Altadena has 80% black home ownership, double the national average. Those homes also symbolize the generational wealth now wiped out in a matter of hours.
And I'll take back what the devil stole from me, and I shall rejoice, for I shall recover it all.
Jackson vows to rebuild.
Of course, I had pictures of my parents, my mother who provided me with a lot of silverware and other things.
Rebuilding will take years, and he might never replace all the instruments and studio equipment that allowed him to perform and stream for the Don Darnell Ministries. He's hoping that at the very least he can replace his pro-level Yamaha 88-key synthesizer so he can play again for the congregants.
I had a B3 organ there, I had the big baby grand piano, then I had all the digital keyboards, and then they were all stacked there.
I asked him to be very specific about what he might appreciate, just one thing, and then that's when he mentioned that 88-key synthesizer by Yamaha. Meantime, he did have a lot of fire suppression systems in that house, but it just speaks to what that firestorm was like Tuesday night. Reporting live in Pasadena, I'm Susan Hirasuna.
All right, so that was a particular clip about Altadena and the black community. More black ownership in the Altadena area than most of the country. As we heard yesterday from the commissioner, it's a very diversified area, and those communities got wiped out. Wiped out. Oh, you also saw with the Eaton fire. Look at that. That's crazy there, the way they do that. Also, you heard with the Eaton fire, it seems like the Eaton fire could have been started by electrical underneath an electrical pole. That's probably why the lawsuits are firing out against the electric company. Hello, Magnolia.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Well, it's not a good morning per se in California. Horrifying. Look at this. This was last night when we were asleep, Magnolia.
Mm-hmm.
Ventura. Another fire.
Yeah, I was just thinking last night. I mean, this whole event has just been so shocking. We're a week into this now. We started covering this a week ago today. And I think a lot of it has been kind of shock and trying to comprehend that this is actually happening, that it has happened. But as we're moving forward, we're getting stories personal stories from people. And you just don't imagine, you can't imagine the things that people lost. And, you know, a lot of it, they say, you know, it can be replaced and things, but not everything can be replaced. And I've been thinking about that a lot the last couple of days. The history, just, you know, some of the architecture there was irreplaceable. Imagine the things that people had in their homes, artwork, family heirlooms. I saw a story this morning about a couple who had a child who passed away 15 years ago, and they had the urn with their child's ashes in their home. So they've lost that. They've lost they said they've lost all evidence that their child even existed. So, you know, there's so much that you don't really think about in the moment when all this first starts happening, and you're just like, wow, this is crazy. How is this happening? But, you know, we'll keep hearing these stories. And I think that's the saddest part, is that this is a chapter that has closed.
Yeah, but Magnolia, this what makes this more terrifying is it's not just one little area where this fire occurred. As we're watching last night, this is a totally different county. This is Ventura County.
Yeah.
So these fires, when they break out, and I would say there was a total at one point, maybe 7 or 8 fires, different areas. I mean, there's now like 4 major fires, but at one point there was different fires and then they got put out. But it's just these, like Kenneth Fire, we'll just say the Kenneth Fire in Encino. I mean, that blew up. But the point is, when these fires break out, everyone's already on edge. But you get another location, now it affects a whole other community and sends alerts out to another community. And everyone's jumping into their vehicles, filling their cars up with everything and mass getting out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it just affects so many people.
Yep.
This actually affected millions of people. Millions of people are on alert, right? Millions?
Yeah, that's what they said. Millions on alert for the high winds coming in. So today's the day. Today's Tuesday. This is the day that they've been saying the winds would be the worst. I think they said up to 70 miles an hour, but we have a clip about that.
Southern California residents on alert as those powerful winds return. They bring the serious threat for explosive fire growth. Take a live look at our station KABC's chopper above the new fire that erupted overnight. This is a map of the new areas under red flag warnings where fire danger is extremely high. We'll hear from a CAL Fire Battalion chief live in just a few minutes. We have team coverage from all over the fire zone, starting with Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman in Mandeville Canyon with crews on the fire line. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael. It would be impossible to overemphasize how seriously firefighters are taking this wind event today. We're at the top of Mandeville Canyon. As you just mentioned, there are 2 fire trucks here. You can see they already have hose laid out. There are 1, 2, 3 additional engines down the street. Almost every block has an engine parked in the driveway. They've slathered entire neighborhoods with that pink Phos-Chek, laid it on hillsides as well. Over 15,000 firefighters here in Southern California right now, and already a fire igniting west of us in Ventura County this morning.
Overnight, firefighters racing to battle the first fire stoked by this latest wind event in Southern California, this time in Ventura County.
The wind is blowing this fire right along the riverbed.
It's called the Auto Fire, and dozens of firefighters rushing to the scene, attacking the fire from the ground and the air. Our station, KABC, right there.
That entire riverbed is now engulfed in flames.
This is more than 12 million people in the crosshairs of yet another ferocious wind event in Southern California, a week after the Eaton and Palisades fires killed at least 24 people. And firefighters working feverishly to prevent another disaster. That air attack painting curtains of pink fire retardant across the mountainside.
The air attack has been absolutely intense over this canyon. You can see that DC-10 crossing right in front of you, and it's about to drop that massive load of fire retardant, creating this huge fire break across the ridge here.
Hand crews working through the night, lit by headlamps, hacking through the brush. And we were with them on the front lines.
Down below, there are hundreds of firefighters who've carved this fire break through this canyon down to the other side, all the way up there.
Officials pleading with Californians to have a plan in place.
If you don't have a wildfire evacuation plan for your family and your home, please make one today.
And residents on edge.
When I walked outside and saw the huge gray cloud of smoke, I just told my husband, I don't want to be caught off guard.
Timothea Workman is ready for another red flag warning. She and her husband filling up their camper van in case they need to evacuate.
When you're under stress like that, it's really crazy how your mind just starts spinning.
Another 90,000 others facing evacuation warnings this morning. The urgent reminder with volatile conditions that could change quickly.
If you get an alert on your telephone for an evacuation warning, leave then. Don't wait for the order.
Power companies already shutting off electricity to thousands as a precaution.
Oh my God.
Power lines at the core of the investigation into the Eaton fire, as SoCal Edison now faces 4 lawsuits in connection to the fire.
We have an approximately 10-acre brush fire across canyon underneath high-tension power lines.
SoCal Edison telling ABC News they've seen no indication their equipment started the fire, but they're aware of pictures and videos showing what appears to be a fire at the base of this electrical transmission tower. And they're investigating. A spokesperson for the company saying in a statement, SoCal Edison understands that a lawsuit related to the Eaton fire has been filed, but SCE has not yet been served with a complaint. And across the county, reinforcements are on standby for the fatigued first responders battling the flames for a week now. Monday evening, ATF investigators blocking off a rural area of Pacific Palisades. Officials saying they're searching for the cause of the fire.
Now, the ATF telling me despite this wind event, their technicians will likely be able to detect particles in the soil that could tell them if there was arson here, but they say it could take a couple of months to finish that report. Now, one thing that authorities here have been hammering home, Robin, is that they are pleading with people not to silence those emergency alerts on their mobile phones. They say lives are at stake. Robin.
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you. We'll be with you throughout the morning.
Millions, Magnolia. You're mute.
Yeah, they're saying that other areas that could be affected, even Santa Barbara, they're talking about now. So we'll see what happens throughout the day. Yeah, San Diego.
So
for people, but hold on one sec. For people that are joining, RLF had asked about a new fire. There was a new fire that started overnight. It was called the Auto Fire.
That's what we're watching here.
And it was named the Auto Fire because it started from a car catching on fire. And that was in Ventura County. So that's actually the footage we have here on the screen.
So going back to Altadena and the Eaton fire, I'm reading information. So SoCal is getting sued. The electric company is getting sued. And the way that they played a clip of that 911 call on the 7th of January. It does appear the fire started under power lines on that fire.
The one 2 months ago?
No, Eaton fire. The Eaton fire.
Eaton.
Yeah. The Eaton fire in Altadena. It appears. See, we're trying to find out the origins of each fire. The Palisades fire. Yesterday, ATF investigators, where were they at? They were at it on a street, right by a street up in the summit.
Yeah,
they got blocked off the street. Now they say it could take a while for them to find out what caused that fire. Some people are saying it could have been fireworks from New Year's that they responded to and didn't put it all out, and it reignited the day of the winds. Other people are saying arson. We don't know that. But going to the Eaton fire, it appears the Eaton fire was caused from power lines or from a power line structure, something underneath it, because the electric company's getting sued by residents and they're blaming them for the fire.
Yeah, so there's that news came out yesterday evening. So SoCal Edison is being sued for starting the fire because it sparked from their equipment. So the issue here is that they they were expected, I guess, to mitigate their power lines during something like this, and they did not do that. And so there are entities now coming forward and suing them. This is one of probably many lawsuits that are coming.
Does it indicate how much they're suing them for? I'm looking through the media reports, and I haven't read the actual complaint. I'll try to get the complaint at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't. This has to be a hundreds of millions of dollars lawsuit, considering now that they're trying to say that the entire fires that burnt now could be up to 250 billion in loss.
Yeah,
billion with a B. So, who knows? I mean, this has huge effects. Obviously, Southern California Edison has insurance. What's going to happen here with this lawsuit? Are they going to fight it? And then ultimately, probably going to affect all Southern California subscribers, because they'll probably pass the cost off to the consumer to offset these costs of this litigation. It's a mess. It's a nightmare. It's a horror movie. It's bad. Southern Cal Edison, SoCal, they call it SoCal, is being sued. Now, we haven't seen any lawsuits yet dealing with the Palisades fire or any additional fires. But I'm sure more lawsuits are going to come. I mean, particularly, I can't see why those people in Pacific Palisades won't sue somebody. I mean, you're talking about people with a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, well, and we talked about the people in the Palisades. You know, a lot of the people there, there's a lot of attorneys. I've already heard talk about that. There were quite a few attorneys that lived in the Palisades that no longer exist. So I think they're probably all coming together to file lawsuits. I also saw an article, I'll try to find it again, that said there's a realtor in LA who's planning to sue. So it's going to probably come from all angles.
Could that be Caruso, the one that ran for mayor? Because, you know, he owns a lot of those, the mall area there in Pacific Palisades. He owns a lot of investments there. And actually, there was reports that Caruso hired his own private fire company to come and protect it.
The mall, yeah, he did.
His own people, because, you know, no confidence in the LA Fire Department, not because people feel like they can't do their job. They just didn't have the money. No money.
Yeah.
No money. I mean, it's a mess all across the board, just with the handling of this case, the warnings, negligence, money, the reservoirs not being full, even the Resnicks owning all this water rights. What a mess. What do we got here?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Here's a little more info on this lawsuit. So this is Jeremy Gersey. Says his house was in the Altadena neighborhood that was destroyed by the Eaton fire. And he's saying that SoCal Edison is responsible for starting the fire. Now, even though officials have not said that that's the cause, he's saying that they have evidence in the form of photographs taken by residents who saw around 6:15 p.m. on January 7th a small blaze under transmission lines running through Eaton Canyon. And what they're saying is that SoCal should have de-energized those power lines during this wind event, and that they didn't do it. So, of course, Edison is denying that it's their fault. But yeah, it's just a mess. We already talked about PG&E from before, that they've filed for bankruptcy. We talked about this. because they were sued for a similar reason. And remember the Department of Water and Power, the woman who makes Janice, the woman who makes like $750,000 a year, she formerly was at PG&E during all their chaos where they had to file bankruptcy because of all these losses. So we'll see what happens with Edison. But it won't be good if officials end up pointing to their power lines as being the source of the Eaton fire. They will lose that lawsuit immediately.
I mean, I sent you a photo, Magnolia. When you get the chance, eventually, can you put it up on the screen? Because clearly residents are showing in pictures that as far as the Eaton fire, it started in a canyon right under all these wires. You can clearly see where it started. So, I mean, they claim they have the evidence. We'll see what happens there. I would say SoCal, and my assessment looking at it, I would feel they are at fault. SoCal. I don't think the Eaton fire was a result of arson. But going back to Pacific Palisades, because I don't know how that fire started. Look, that's a photo. Look at that. Look, that is a photo taken from the start of the Eaton fire. So what time did you say it happened on the 7th? 6 something?
They said 6:15 a.m. No, 6:15
p.m.
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 Yeah. Yep.
So look at that. Look at that. That's where it started. That's what started in. And remember, folks, as we discussed earlier, the Eaton fire done more structure damage and death than the Palisades fire. Palisades fire burnt more acreage than the Eaton fire. But the Eaton fire destroyed more structures and more people died thus far from the Eaton fire than the Palisades fire. You're mute.
So they're saying they believe transmission lines or electric facilities were the possible cause of the Eaton fire. So
you can see the wires there.
Yeah.
You can see the wires right there.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble. But what sucks, somebody should be held accountable. But what sucks is, again, the electric company, what do? File for bankruptcy or offset their loss by raising their rates? That affects everybody in Southern California.
Yeah.
It looked like those wires were over trees. See, these electric companies, they line out wires through these canyons and valleys and whatnot. But I think you would think that they would be required to maintenance it or look into, particularly if, brush or anything like that goes over these wires over time. And they're supposed to clean it up, aren't they?
Yeah, it turns out that doing zero fire prevention can be quite costly. Right?
Yeah. I mean, they're a for-profit company, right? They're
this
for-profit.
Is going to be endless litigation, endless fallout. And we're really at just the beginning. The fires are barely out. Hopefully no new ones start. I mean, this one last night looks pretty crazy. But, hopefully they can not have any fires today that start raging all over creation during the new windstorms, because that's not good.
I do think, though, there's so much personnel out and so much attention that if a fire does break out and it does spread, I do think, I hope that they would contain it quickly.
Yeah, that's
there's just so much. There's so much. I mean, there's thousands of firefighters there, and thousands just equipment, airdrops. Plus, they were talking about that pink stuff being. I'd rather have pink stuff all over my house than my house gone. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that pink stuff does to the environment, though. But going back to the Palisades fire, so we don't know how that Palisades fire started, but what we do know, I don't know if you could get the photo up, Magnolia, of the ATF at the scene by this place called Skull Rock. trail area. It's on the edge of a neighborhood. I don't know if you could get that up, but what I was discussing yesterday with the Palisades fire, it appears they are going as if that was set by someone. It appears. Now, I said if it was an accident or deliberate, I feel someone's getting charged with the Palisades. Someone. Particularly if someone set it, whether it was an accident or what, whoever set that Palisades fire is going to get charged. They're going to make an example of the person, particularly if whoever set it never reported it. Never reported what they did.
Yeah.
Someone's getting charged. Now, this was what? This was yesterday. This was from one of the media out there is Chopper guys. His name's Chris Christie. Not the politician Chris Christie. Chris Christie. And Chris Christie puts this photo up. He's the ABC 7 Chopper guy. Helicopter reporter. He says, breaking, ATF arson investigators have descended on the area of the suspicion along a hiking trail at the summit of the Pacific Palisades. And it shows agents there.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they know where this spot started. Someone responded to his tweet, "Do you think we'll learn the truth?" And he responds, yes.
Yeah, I think so too. And then also there was another report last night from ABC 7. I'll see if I can find that. They said that they have honed in on a specific street in that area. So we saw the ATF agents, and we've heard about, they're going to look into this. It's called Via La Costa is the road that they are honing in on, Via La Costa. And I'll try to show this. I'm going to pull this up on the map so we can see where it is. Because remember, we also had hikers up in that area.
Yeah, I mean, there was a viral video of a bunch of kids that, posted, and they deleted their account. Speculation. A lot of people are all over the map with what those people. Some say they just got bullied to death and they just deleted their account because people were blaming them. Other people are saying they're suspicious. But it's
so this is the area right here that we're talking about. So now several days ago we reported about a brother and sister who were drinking Turkish tea on their deck, and they looked up and could see the fire about 2 miles away. So this is the area in question. And this is where Skull Rock, people hike up here. There's a trailhead right here. Now we were looking at this. This is Via La Costa. So this is the whole road. And ABC 7 reported that this is specifically the area that investigators have honed in on. And we were looking at this last night, and we were wondering what in the world this is.
It might be like a water reservoir or something. Water, I don't know, like a septic tank maybe?
Yeah, but it's not labeled on the map anyway. So, yeah, I mean, this is the general area that they're looking at. And there's the thing about it, and I agree with Chris Christie on this, they're going to find out the cause, because for one thing, there were so many people who saw this fire. You had the boys that were hiking. There were other hikers up in the area as well. Residents down here in these neighborhoods could see it in the distance. And so there were a lot of people that saw it. And I'm wondering if any of these homes along this road, look at this house. I mean, these are huge homes. So I'm wondering if any of these homes might have had cameras that they can collect for evidence. And then up in here, we have some more homes. So I agree that they'll find the cause just because there were so many witnesses in those very first minutes. A lot of the witnesses were running away frantically, but they saw the fire, and I'm sure were able to give some helpful information to the investigators.
Yeah, ABC 7 is reporting federal investigators are focusing on a specific street in the Palisades Highlands area where they believe the Palisades fire may have started. Via La Costa Street has been closed to the media as the investigation continues. 15 investigators with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives national response team from around the country arrived in Los Angeles over the weekend, joining the crews already on the scene. So they got a street blocked off up there specifically for this arson investigation, feeling like it's might be at this area right here, this Via La Costa. Via La
It'll be
Costa.
around somewhere in here, and they said Temescal Ridge specifically too. So it's somewhere in this area where this fire started. So
well, branch it out just to show people. Branch it out to show people like perspective of where it is relative to Los Angeles. So it's in the summit. It's in the summit of Pacific Palisades. We'll go out a little bit more. Yeah, see? Go out a little bit more, Magnolia. Yeah. Okay. See what I'm saying? Like this is Pacific Palisades is right below this area. It's right below the area. It's called the summit. It goes higher up than the Pacific Palisades. As we were covering the fire on the day it happened, they were all fleeing down that hill and abandoning their cars. So, the Palisades Drive, remember Palisades Drive and Summit Boulevard, that corner there where the Starbucks was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Palisades Drive takes you up to the summit there. That's the only way up there, more or less, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. Because remember we had we played that clip of the one resident that lived in that area, and she said there was only one road to go out, and it was blocked or closed or something like that. So she had to go back and try again later.
So it's that area right there where they're investigating is literally exactly due north of Pacific Palisades village area, the village area, which got
this is
leveled and dropped.
Right,
that's the area. That was the area right there.
That we were just talking about.
Yes, that's where they were pushing the cars off the road around that area. They were remember the equipment was people were just abandoning their cars and vehicles.
Yep.
So that's Palisades Drive, and you take it directly up. Takes you to where they think the fire started. So it will be interesting to see what comes out of that. And if they ever share the origins of how that fire started. Hold somebody accountable. I feel like someone's going to get unfortunately, even if it was an accident, they're going to make an example of someone.
Well, yeah, because it's like what you said, even if it was an accident, if the person didn't report it right away, that is obstruction, that's obstruction. It's all sorts of things. So, if no one came forward and said, oh no, I accidentally did XYZ, and then they find out that they caused it. Yeah, they'll get prosecuted for sure.
Yeah, they'll get that. So we have those two. Those are the two major fires. The Eaton fire. It seems like they think they know what happened with the Eaton fire, and now the Palisades fire, where ATF and arson investigators are there at the scene. For the next day or two, as we discussed, it's called red flag warnings. Critical. Now, these red flag warnings actually expand not just in the Palisades area, Los Angeles, but Riverside, all the way down to the Mexico border, east of San Diego, and all the way up to like Santa Barbara. So everyone should be definitely on high alert. High wind warnings. They're saying starting today into tomorrow, and I think they expanded it till tomorrow night. 30 to 40 mile an hour sustained winds with 70 to 80 mile an hour gusts. Low humidity. Dry. You're muted, Magnolia.
Yeah, so it'll be till tomorrow. I have one here. It's tomorrow. Red flag warning until January 15th at 6:00 p.m. So that is tomorrow evening. High wind warning is in effect through tomorrow at noon, but the red flag warning is through 6 p.m.
CNN put out a report claiming there's tons of misinformation.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It's an interesting clip because I think what we're also seeing is a little divide between parties here. Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats are claiming they've done everything possible they could do. Republicans are blaming Democrats. And people are throwing mud back and forth. And they're saying there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's interesting that CNN, I don't know, this is Anderson Cooper. He's with the governor at one point. So, I think they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do with this, but you want to play that clip?
Yeah.
All right, we'll play this.
Information is also spreading, just as Facebook has decided to stop fact-checking and go to community notes, I guess they're calling it. Donnie O'Sullivan takes a look at some of the misinformation that's out there right now.
California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things.
Mel Gibson on Fox News primetime after losing his home in the California fires.
And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire.
This is an obvious land grab. They get them out of their homes this way, and then they can build whatever they want to build.
From the common refrain that it's all part of a government plot.
This is siege by design.
To suspected AI-generated video and images falsely showing the fires approaching the iconic Hollywood sign. Fact-checkers working for Meta have been debunking some of the misinformation on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey everyone.
But last week, Mark Zuckerberg announced this.
We're going to get rid of fact-checkers and replace them with community notes.
Replacing fact-checkers with community notes, a form of crowdsourced fact-checking that is used on X. But critics say Zuckerberg shouldn't be trying to emulate X, pointing to viral misinformation on that platform that goes unchecked. Like this post, viewed almost 500,000 times, baselessly claiming DARPA, a wing of the Department of Defense, started the fires.
I'm here with the fire command team at the Palisades fire.
Indeed, X's owner, Elon Musk, has spent the last week elevating conspiracy theories about the fires.
What about water availability?
Responding to a post from disgraced conspiracy theorist Alex Jones that the fires are part of a globalist plot, Musk responded, true.
And Donnie O'Sullivan joins us now. In a situation like this, I mean, it always happens, but it seems particularly acute right now.
Absolutely. And look, one of the big issues, particularly which we saw last year with hurricanes Helene and Milton, and also before that the Maui wildfires, is that a lot of this misinformation makes people who need support from government agencies, whether it be local agencies or FEMA, distrust. That's something we particularly saw after the hurricanes. We're seeing less of that here right now, but what we are seeing is, and of of course, look, there is a political debate to be had about the policies here in California, but it has gone beyond that. We have seen the president-elect coming in with just straight up false claims about policies here. And then, of course, Elon Musk, the owner of X, as you saw in that piece there, engaging with really wild conspiracy theories in terms of that this is a planned event. It's not. But also then really leaning into this sort of culture war stuff about DEI, diversity and inclusion policies and everything else like that. So it's really just a pretty toxic stew online right now. And on top of that, we're seeing changes at Meta coming soon with removing these fact checkers.
Donnie O'Sullivan, thanks very much.
Captain Eric Scott. He is the Public Information Officer for the Los Angeles Fire Department. And Captain, it's great to have you back. Obviously, you've been joining us in these touch and go situations. I know y'all are very busy, so you're joining us on the phone tonight. We've been talking about these red flag warnings that are now in place through Wednesday evening. What is your biggest concern about that tonight?
The wind is king. It always has been, and we saw it be so devastating last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we've been getting breaks, and then she comes back, and it's been very difficult. So the area of major concern for the Palisades burn perimeter remains the northeast area in Mandeville Canyon. It's a lot of homes, very narrow hairpin turns that we had to proactively enact parking restrictions to keep vehicles out of areas that turn to choke points in case there's additional evacuations. But right now we got a lot of firefighters lined up there, and our air assets are continuing to do a wonderful job.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at live pictures right now in LA. This is from KCAL and KCBS. You're showing firefighters trying to contain a fire. I mean, you can see how close it is to a neighborhood on this map as we're looking at this. Mm-hmm. The biggest concern we've heard is new fires starting as a result of this warning, but this particularly dangerous situation warning that is so rare. If they do, are you prepared for that?
Yes, we've battled these PDS incidents in the past, particularly dangerous situations, but they are significant. We take them very seriously. So we have a ton of resources here, over 5,000 firefighters that remain on scene, and we have over 40 helicopters that are assigned. We have a very large contingency of fixed wing, including C-130s from National Guard that's here, very large DC-10. So some of these will drop water on target hazards to protect property. Others will be more defensive and drop retardant to stop the flames at what we call the 3 Rs, the roads, rivers, and ridges. So they're doing a wonderful job, and we continue to expect night operations to continue.
Are you worried that the winds could get so bad, though, that those aerial flights have to stop again, which was, of course, the issue at the beginning of these fires?
Yeah, that's more of a worst case scenario. If that happens, it makes so much more difficult to stop the flame front. So I was talking to our chief pilots today, and some of the thresholds are at 40 miles per hour, but at the ridges, it could be cut even in half. It's really up to the discretion of the chief pilot. The main thing on their mind is safety, of course, safety for their members. If that aircraft goes down, now you have loss of life and it can't do anything. Plus, if the wind is so significant, the water dropping out of the bottom is vaporized, the target's not hit. So we have to consider that. But right now, again, we're really proud to say that boots are on the ground and the birds are in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable what we're looking at now to see how close these firefighters are to this fire. This is in Riverside, California, that we're watching right now. I mean, and obviously dealing with a lot of the brush there and vegetation. I mean, one, this is just amazing to watch. I know we've expressed, I mean, they have chainsaws in their hands as they are cutting down these trees as we're watching this. As we look at this, and I was just talking to Aaron about the investigations underway into the origins of this, the ATF is actually taking the lead in figuring out what caused the Palisades fire. From your experience, do you think it was caused by humans, or what is do you have a hunch as you're looking at this?
If I were betting, yes. Many people are surprised to learn that over 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans. And I think that's really important to sit and think about for a minute, because one less sparks, one less wildfire. We need to be cognizant of that. This is right near Mandeville Canyon right now. A few years past, we had a well-intentioned individual performing proper brush clearance. They used a weed whacker, hot exhaust, put down on light, flashy fuel like grass, and it took off. They couldn't catch it. So people need to think, if you're going to do that, not be doing that during windy time periods. And when it calms down, of course, have an extinguishing agent, 911 cell phone to call if needed.
And as we look at this, I mean, it's really just remarkable to watch this effort and what this looks like, and just how much they are putting their lives in harm's way, trying to contain this, trying to put it out. We reported on Friday that the LA Fire Chief, Kristen Crowley, had met with the Mayor, Karen Bass. They had been kind of publicly contradicting, not kind of, they were publicly contradicting each other on, budget cuts and if they affected the response here. Do you, when from what you've heard from with your colleagues, is the Mayor and the Fire Chief, are they on the same page now from your understanding?
I think they're going to continue to talk about that behind closed doors. It's safe to say that the LAFD is facing significant challenges due to previous budget cuts. Chief Crowley has been on statement to say three things repeatedly. We're underfunded, we're understaffed, we're under-resourced. And it makes it a real strain on our resources. It limits the ability to expand operations, to modernize. Los Angeles you got 4 million people that live, work, and play here. So there's a lot going on. Us firefighters, we're not asking for a raise in money. We just want to be fully funded to do the best job we can for those we serve. We live in this city. The incident commander of this lived and works in Pacific Palisades. We're holding the hands of the people who are shedding the tears, who, hey, that's where I got married. That's where my kids go to school. We just want the team, the tools, the training to do our job. No politics. Firefighters just want to do a good job.
Yeah, we're watching them do a great job right now, and just amazing, heroic work. Captain Eric Scott, as you know, please pass along our gratitude. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight as well.
All right, that's the information that CNN puts out there. Anderson Cooper's first clip was about the misinformation. Yeah, and honestly, Magnolia, there is some misinformation out there. There's some.
Yeah.
They want to try to, lump it in with everybody's spreading misinformation. That's the way they kind of put it out there. They try to undermine Elon Musk. They try to undermine Trump. They try to take things and try to find clips and different things and lump it in with Alex Jones and and just lump it all around.
Well, they don't want people using critical thinking. That's what they don't want. They want to be able to tell people what to think. So losing that control the way they have over the past few years now, they're at the bottom of the rung when it comes to public trust. The public's trust in the media has literally never been lower than it is right now. And they've lost control. They know they've lost control. They don't want people investigating things on their own. They don't want people coming up with their own theories or anything like that. So, Anderson Cooper looked like he was about to cry when he talked about Mark Zuckerberg getting rid of fact checkers in favor of community notes. Like, he literally looked like he was on the verge of tears at that development. So, it's not surprising.
Well, it hurts CNN's bottom line, because a lot of times CNN reporters on Twitter now are getting community noted.
Yeah.
Also, let's be honest, the CNN kind of goes hand in hand with the Biden administration. And, they want you to say, hey, whatever the Biden administration puts out there, you should trust them. But anyone else that puts information out there, you shouldn't trust.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's just, it seems like he hasn't fully accepted the fact that no one trusts them anymore. So he seemed pretty upset about about that. But also on the same token, you have Gavin Newsom, who is someone who, if he could, he would control absolutely everything that people say on the internet. He wanted to pass a bill or some regulations that would make it a crime to use AI and things like that with public figures and posting memes. He wants to basically, if he could, he would make it a crime to post memes about him. So that's the type of person he is. And we saw him running to Anderson Cooper to try to get Anderson Cooper to help him. We saw him on a Zoom call with Joe Biden where he's begging Joe Biden, can you please help me with the misinformation about the fire hydrants? You know, they're scurrying, they're running around because people are seeing all of this with their own eyes, and they're all, in the absence of a solution or the cause being figured out, people are going to try to figure out themselves.
So Magnolia, they're about to start the press conference. So let's listen in. We're going to switch the feed right now. Press conference update, 11 a.m. like clockwork. We'll switch right now.
Palisades and the Eaton fires. Officials, though, have not ruled out arson, but they are not disclosing the results or any updates about ongoing investigations into the origins of these fires. Several area pastors warning that the return of these Santa Ana winds is posing a threat to the progress made against wildfires in Los Angeles County. It does look like this live event set to start here, this press briefing, set to start momentarily. We do expect that they could speak on the new potential threats with the winds returning. Also, maybe more into the investigation of how these fires started. Let's listen in.
City One Voice press briefing here at the Kenny Hahn Hall of Administration. My name is Anthony Maroney. I'm the fire chief of the County of Los Angeles Fire Department, and I'm here with an Eaton fire update. The good news is that for the last 2 days, we've had no increase in acreage at the Eaton fire, and it remains estimated at 14,117 acres with 35% containment. We know that over 7,000 structures are damaged or destroyed, and we have 3,235 firefighting personnel assigned to the incident. 30% of our damage inspections for the Eaton fire have been completed. Impacted residents may visit recovery.lacounty.gov to view maps showing damage assessments. Please note that the maps are being updated daily. Severe fire weather conditions will continue through tomorrow. The worst winds are predicted today for the late afternoon and into Wednesday. Please be assured that the Los Angeles County region is prepared. The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in the LA region critical. I ask all Los Angeles County residents in wildfire-prone areas to understand that the necessary public safety power shutoffs are going to prevent our next fire from starting if we have down power lines. I know that this is a challenge, but it is necessary for our collective safety. I ask that our unhoused neighbors not have warming fires. Anybody who's a person experiencing homelessness should be seeking shelter through the County of Los Angeles or the City of Los Angeles. Additionally, we have checked the water system in the Eaton fire area, and it is operational, meaning that we have water and we have pressure. safe, period. Resources are available for residents impacted by wildfire at lacounty.gov/emergency. And I'm happy to report that the LA County CL415 Super Scooper that was damaged by the drone will be available for response starting at 11 a.m. today. Lastly, I ask all residents in the fire danger areas to develop your own wildfire preparedness plan. Go to fire.lacounty.gov/RSG for Ready, Set, Go, and get set to leave early if you receive an evacuation warning or order. And please double check to make sure that your cellular device does not have your emergency alerts silenced. I would now like to introduce Jerry Magana, Deputy IC, CAL FIRE, Incident Management Team 2.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Jerry Magana, representing the incident management teams for the Palisades and Eaton Fire. I just wanted to once again thank the partners and cooperators for all of their continued teamwork with these incidents. We couldn't do it without each other and without the support of the community. As mentioned, for both fires, I just wanted to continue to stress the fact that it is important that the public stay informed on the process and what is happening each day on these incidents. With all of the press briefings that are given, a ton of information is being put out there. Just please make sure that you are aware of the information for your impacted area. As a whole, for both incidents, DINS inspections continue and will be thoroughly processed to get the latest information out to you so that you have the ability to gather that information and move forward within your process. USAR operations continue for both incidents, and we will continue to update our cooperators and partners with the latest and greatest information. And today you'll also be hearing about the disaster recovery centers that are being opened, more detail to follow, but we just wanted to make sure that you as the public are getting all the information that you need to move forward in the process, and that all of us up here on this stage are working together for you to get you the information that you need. Please stay patient with our process. We will get you in as soon as we can. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Kristen Crowley, Los Angeles City Fire Department Fire Chief. Mayor Batts and I recently conducted an aerial survey of the impacted areas. Our focus was on evaluating the size, the scope, and the complexity of these fires to gain a full understanding of its total impact on our communities. This assessment was essential as we begin planning and prioritizing resources and support needed to make sure that we can facilitate in the recovery efforts here and now. Our goal is to address both the immediate challenges and the long-term needs of those infected by these devastating events. Yesterday, I also had the opportunity to meet with our international partners from Mexico to express our heartfelt gratitude for their assistance. The outpouring of support from both near and far, I tell you, is absolutely remarkable. I also had the opportunity just to take a moment to talk with people, and I cannot tell you how many times everybody has been asking about our firefighters and our first responders, and they're asking, how are they holding up? I visited our field resources, the Emergency Operations Center, our Department Operations Center, and I tell you, our firefighters and first responders are standing strong. They hold their heads up high, and they will continue to work hard for you. Thank you for your care and concern. And I tell you, our thoughts and prayers holistically are with everybody that has been impacted by these fires. I will now provide just a brief update on the Palisades fire. This fire is now at 23,713 acres with 17% containment, with 5,200 personnel that are assigned to the incident. Firefighters will continue to work tirelessly throughout the day to increase containment lines, prevent further spread, and address any flare-ups. The Hearst fire, 799 acres at 97% contained. Now, to all of those who have lost so much and to those who still have not returned to your homes, know that everybody involved in this incident in the Los Angeles region is focused on you. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the community that has given so much back to those impacted as well as to our LAFD. And thank you to the LAFD Foundation that provides vital equipment and funds critical. They fund critical programs, tools, and equipment to help the LAFD save lives and protect property. You heard Chief Maroney say it already, but I think it's very, very important that I reiterate these points. Life-threatening and destructive and widespread winds are already here. For this significant wind event, we are taking an aggressive lean-forward posture, and the LAFD has staffed all available resources, strategically placing fire patrols and engines in the unimpacted high fire risk areas in the city. We are carefully managing our operations to ensure that we can quickly respond to any new fires, in addition to the increased call volume across the city of Los Angeles. I urge, and everybody here urges you to remain alert as danger has not yet passed. Please follow all evacuation warnings and orders without delay and prioritize your safety. Thank you. I would like now to introduce our next speaker, Los Angeles County Sheriff Luna.
Good morning, and thank you, Chief. Our Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department personnel deployment stands at approximately 1,300 this morning. And again, remember, we are working different incidences throughout the county, primarily the Palisades fire for the county portion of it, and then the Eaton fire as well. Many of our deputies haven't had days off. They're on 12-hour shifts. So I really appreciate all their work and their time away from their family. We have approximately 234 officers from the California Highway Patrol. Sean DeRee, the commissioner of the CHP, was kind enough to give us more bodies as of yesterday. We also are being assisted by 16 agents from the Drug Enforcement Administration, and they're not working narcotics. They are here assisting us, and we're getting calls from a lot of our law enforcement partners, so we're very grateful that they're here to assist us. We have well over 600 National Guards personnel that are deployed to not only the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department areas of responsibility, but the Los Angeles Police Department, Pasadena, Santa Monica, and other places as well. Evacuation orders, we have approximately 88,000 residents that are still under evacuation orders. And regarding evacuation warnings, we have approximately 84,800 residents that continue to be under warnings. There is a decrease in these numbers, but as our fire partners have stated, it is still very dangerous for the next 24 hours. So we're keeping a very close eye. That's why we have not downgraded the number of personnel. If fire tells us you've got to go here because the wind's blowing this way and we need to do evacuations, that's where we are going. I just want to remind everybody that the last time we had to evacuate people under an order, our deputies very heroically saved many people's lives, and they had to rescue people. And a lot of the people that were rescued who waited till the last minute to leave the order or the evacuation order, many of them had significant burns on them. I just want to reiterate that when we're giving you warnings, that's the time you should probably think about going. Actually, we recommend you go. Don't wait till the order's given. We don't want you to impact your own life or the life of your loved ones. Repopulation conversations are absolutely active and ongoing. I don't want to get too much into that. I don't want people to start thinking everything's okay now. Everything's not okay yet. We'll get there. We'll get there together. But again, the wind's blowing and it's going to continue to blow. Curfew is still in effect. It was in effect last night. It's going to be in effect tonight again, starting at 6 p.m. all the way to 6 a.m. This is for the impacted evacuation order areas. If you do not live there, have any business there, say this every day, don't go. Why am I repeating it? Because we continue to make arrests for this violation. I don't want to make more arrests, so please stay away from there. We understand that our residents want to go back to their homes, but this is a disaster area. Chief Maroney mentioned it. As soon as it is rendered safe, we will try and prioritize getting you back home. We understand that is important. Regarding arrest, we had a few more arrests overnight. Our total, when I give totals, this is for the LA County Sheriff's Department area only. It doesn't count LAPD, Pasadena, and other agencies. We are up to 39. That's 33 in the Eaton Fire area and 6 in the Palisades area. Eaton, we have 9 curfew arrests and 2 for drone incidences. Please do not fly drones in these impacted areas. And 11 were for burglary in that Eaton area. For Palisades, we have 6 arrests, 3 for curfew, and 3 for burglary. Last night's total arrest, 1 arrest for curfew violation and carrying a loaded weapon. Again, I'm repeating this and it keeps on happening. If you are carrying narcotics and a gun, you shouldn't do it anyways. You shouldn't absolutely go into these evacuation order areas where there's a curfew with those items, because you are likely going to get arrested by our deputies. They're being very proactive, and you're going to get arrested. Blue collar versus white collar crimes. You've heard it over and over. We're not just looking for burglars and looters committing crimes on the street, but we're also focused on anybody who's involved in any kind of scam. Whether you're asking for donations for pets or whatever you think you're doing to make money off of the poor people who've been involved, we're telling you, don't do it. If you think you're a victim of this, notify us immediately. Moving on, search and rescue operations. Based on our grid searches, this is information that when we concluded last night with our search and rescue teams, we have searched approximately 3,654 properties in the Altadena area thus far. Yesterday, we searched 1,800 properties in Eaton. We also have been working with teams that are coming in to work on the Palisades to begin searching for remains as well. So this operation continues. It's active, not easy work. The good news was that no other remains were found yesterday. Hopefully that happens again today. We don't want the death toll to continue to go up. So the death toll stands at 21 for the sheriff's areas. Does not include LAPD or Pasadena. That is a total of 16 in Eaton and 5 in the Palisades. We are actively working 24 missing person cases, 18 in the Eaton area, 6 in the Malibu area, all adults. As I conclude, to get any updated information, lacounty.gov for emergencies. That is updating on evacuation orders, evacuation warnings, road closures, and for all of our community members who desperately want to get back into their houses, as we back off of orders into warnings, look at that website. That'll give you the most updated information. And donations, Emergency Network Los Angeles. I continue to be absolutely amazed with our community. All the positives, they want to donate, they want to help. That's where you go. Thank you very much. And I'm introducing the Los Angeles Police Chief, Jim McDonald. Oh, before you come up, just one quick thing, because I'm being asked this question. If a lot of you are concerned seeing police cars up and down our freeways and their lights and siren on, don't let that alarm you. Whether it's sheriff cars, LAPD cars, CHP cars, we're responding in tandem as they're being requested by the incident commanders to respond to several different locations. Those are your tax dollars at work. Our men and women working their butts off. They're getting to one place to another as quickly and as safely as possible. Now Jim McDonald's coming up.
Okay. Well, good morning. I just want to let everyone know that as we enter into another period of dangerously high winds, we remain deployed and ready to assist with any additional evacuations should that need arise. While peak winds are not expected to be as strong as last week's wind event, they still pose a tremendous threat. And if you're asked to evacuate, please listen to all evacuation orders as they are meant as a life-saving measure. As has been the case over the last few days, LAPD is focused on maintaining your safety and the safety of your properties as we move forward. As far as deployment goes, LAPD officers are still performing increased patrols in the areas impacted by the fires, and we ask for your continued cooperation, especially with our officers who deployed at various checkpoints throughout the evacuation zones. We understand the frustration and your desire to see your homes firsthand, but until CAL FIRE tells us that the impacted areas are safe for repopulation, we can't allow you to return. For the upcoming 24-hour period, LAPD will continue to deploy approximately 750 officers to the impacted areas with support from the Los Angeles Airport Police, Port Police, and the National Guard. They have 200 soldiers assigned to the Palisades event, and we're certainly grateful for their support. We're supporting the fire area with these badly needed resources while continuing to respond to calls throughout the city. I'd like to thank our LAPD officers and everybody who's represented by those who are standing here today, who are working on overtime away from their homes and families, going the extra mile to keep Los Angeles safe. On the missing persons front, we're still actively investigating all reports of missing persons and have dedicated resources to these efforts. As of this morning, we have 34 people reported missing. 21 of them have been found safe. Of the 13 remaining, 2 have most likely been found deceased, but have yet to be positively identified. 11 remain unaccounted for. In total, 3 fatalities that are fire-related. 1 fatality died at a hospital but was not reported missing. On the arrest front, we've made 14 arrests. Failure to obey curfew were 3 of those. Impersonating an officer, 1. Impersonating a firefighter, another. Unauthorized entry to a closed emergency area, 2. DUI, 1. Vandalism, 1. Possession of ammunition and burglary tools, another 1. Burglary, 2. And conspiracy to commit burglary, 2 additional. We have 3 noteworthy arrests throughout the, although outside the fire zone, very significant to our efforts as we continue to battle fires that threaten our community. On Sunday night, our North Hollywood officers responded to a call of a possible arson suspect who was using a barbecue lighter to light fires. Officers arrived on the scene and the suspect was arrested for an outstanding felony warrant for arson and booked into Van Nuys Jail. On Monday, 2 additional arrests related to the fires. The first took place at 5700 Van Nuys Boulevard at approximately 16:30 hours. Our West Valley officers responded to a radio call for an arson suspect who had ignited a nearby brush. Upon arrival, LAFD was at scene, extinguishing the fire, and directed the officers to the possible suspect, who was taken into custody there. The suspect was booked for arson, again at Van Nuys Jail. Our second arrest took place at 11820 San Vicente Boulevard in West LA area. Officers responded to a radio call of an arson suspect at the location who had ignited a nearby trash can, which was extinguished by the LA City Fire Department. Citizens directed the officers to the suspect location, where he was then taken into custody without incident. Video from local businesses showed footage of the suspect starting fires in that area. He was booked into our jail for arson. On looting front, excuse me. Looting is not just a crime against property, it also takes away any sense of security from evacuated residents, and certainly it's not being tolerated at all. LAPD officers are working around the clock to prevent looting in impacted areas and will identify and apprehend those responsible. However, we cannot do this alone. We need your help. And as you heard from the accounts I gave you, it was residents of our city and county who have stepped forward, made observations of people lighting fires, called the police, we responded, and were able to take them off the street. So thank you for those who have been involved in that, and I ask for your vigilance for as we move forward. We're asking all members of our community to join us in this effort by reviewing your personal security footage, whether from Ring cameras, home security systems, or any other recording devices. Even seemingly small details can make a big difference in our ongoing investigations. If you notice anything suspicious or potentially connected to these incidents, please report it to us immediately, and you can do so anonymously through Crime Stoppers by calling the LA Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or by visiting lacrimestoppers.org. You can also provide information regarding the Palisades fire by submitting tips by texting ATFLA to 63975 and then follow the link to be able to create a report. Our collective safety depends on the partnership between police and our community. Together, we can ensure that those responsible for these crimes are brought to justice and that our neighborhoods remain safe. Sheriff Luna talked about the curfew. Likewise, in the city, the curfew order will remain in place tonight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And unless you're public safety personnel or disaster workers, you have no business being at these locations. And if you are in those areas, you are subject to arrest. As I've mentioned, we've already made a number of arrests for individuals who are not listening to these orders. And we want to be very clear about that we will find you if you're out there and you will be arrested. Please allow our teams to focus on the recovery efforts. Enforcing a curfew helps us identify individuals who have no businesses in these areas and also protects public safety personnel who are operating in darkness and often very, very difficult conditions. In closing, I want to reiterate that our department is committed to the recovery efforts, and for however long that will take, we will continue to work alongside our other partners to make sure that our community has the resources that you need to recover and ultimately rebuild. Thank you for your patience and cooperation during this difficult time. Now I'd like to introduce LA County Public Health Chief Deputy Director, Dr. Anish Mahajan. Doctor.
Good morning, Anish Mahajan, LA County Department of Public Health. I want to begin by sharing our heartfelt condolences and extending our deepest sympathies to those who have lost their homes and endured profound devastation caused by the fires. Please remember that you are not alone, and we stand with you during this incredibly challenging time. To our first responders, we are deeply thankful for your remarkable courage and relentless efforts in the face of such overwhelming adversity. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge each of our county supervisors, as well as the mayor, for their steadfast commitment and compassionate guidance, as well as the county and city fire departments, along with the many partners whose exceptional teamwork has been invaluable during these difficult times. Now, the impact of the wildfires has been far-reaching, leaving individuals and families not only grappling with the losses of their homes and cherished belongings, but also facing urgent health and medical challenges. Many have been displaced, separated from their usual healthcare providers, and are in need of essential medications. In response, Public Health will be establishing a Medication Access Assistance Service Center at each of the disaster recovery centers starting today. There will be 4 to 5 nurses and 1 physician from each site from Public Health, along with a paramedic team from EMS. Nurses at the sites will assist families with information, education, referrals for clinical health concerns, including getting access to medications for those who lost their medications in the fire by helping them connect with their pharmacy or their usual provider. If refills are unavailable or if they face challenges in connecting, the nurses at each site will connect with the physicians and pharmacists that we have at the Department of Public Health telehealth service to provide new prescriptions to bridge families until they can connect with their usual source of care. For patients needing assistance with treatment for opioid addiction, the Medical Assist Therapy, the MAT consult line at 213-288-9090, that's 213-288-9090, is able to offer these prescriptions and operates 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to midnight. I'd also like to say a couple of words about the high winds that we're expecting in air quality. The South Coast Air Quality Management District has issued a wind-blown dust advisory due to the strong winds that we're going to see starting this afternoon. High winds may disperse the ashes from the Palisades, Eaton, and other fire burn scars. Wind-blown ash from burned structures may contain higher air toxic levels. If you see the ash, take precautions to reduce your exposure. If you're in the area that's impacted by the ash, You should wear proper respiratory masks, such as an N95 or a P100 mask, to help protect you. These masks are specifically designed to reduce the exposure to harmful fine particles found in the ash and smoke, which can penetrate deep into your lungs and cause serious health problems. And remember, ash is not just dirt, it's hazardous fine dust that can irritate or harm your respiratory system and other parts of your body where it lands. Also note that cloth masks, medical masks like the regular blue ones, bandanas, they do not provide adequate protection against ash and fine particles. They're not designed to filter out these hazardous materials. You really need to wear an N95 or a P100 if you're seeing the ash in your area to protect yourself. In closing, I want to once again express our deepest gratitude to the first responders who've shown incredible bravery and dedication during this crisis. Their tireless efforts are nothing short of heroic, and we're deeply thankful for their service. At Public Health, we remain committed to providing support to all those who are affected by this tragedy, whether through guidance, resources, or community collaboration. We're with you during these challenging times. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce LA County Board of Supervisors Chair Catherine Barger.
It has been 7 days since my constituents' lives were devastated by the Eaton fire. 7 days. At the most recent in-person community meeting we held for Eaton fire survivors, we had hundreds of people attend. Also, more than 50,000 people joined on live stream. This speaks to the scale and impact of this devastation. All eyes are on FEMA at this moment. We know, value, and appreciate FEMA's partnership. They are the agency who is there for people in their time of darkest need. It is of the utmost importance that we be very clear about what support and help FEMA can realistically provide. For wildfire survivors, they need nothing less than clear and transparent answers about how they will be supported through the recovery process. I want to thank Bob Benton, FEMA Administrator for Region 9, for being here today. I thank you for speaking to my constituents so they can plan the way forward. I also want to make sure survivors know disaster resource centers open today. Disaster resource centers are staffed by local, state, and federal officials who are there to help those impacted by these fires. The east side location is Pasadena City College Community Education Center, located at 3035 East Foothill Boulevard in Pasadena. The west side location is UCLA Research Park West, 10850 West Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles. Both locations will be open from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. today, and then starting tomorrow morning and moving forward, they will open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Details can be found at recovery.lacounty.gov. With that, I'd like to turn it over to LA City Mayor Karen Bass.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Barger. Let me just say that yesterday, as the chief mentioned, we did an aerial tour, and I was able to see, it's one thing to see it on television. It's another thing to see it from air. The massive, massive destruction is unimaginable until you actually see it. So I think of the families, I think of the community members that have experienced that, and I just have to say that we are going to continue to stand with you. But while we're preparing for the next couple of days, we also want to move into the time when we prepare for moving forward and rebuilding, but making sure that we can get people's lives back in whole. I have to say that when the aerial tour was finished and I had an opportunity to speak to the firefighters, including our chief, firefighters who've been on the job for 25, 30 years, to say to me that in their entire careers, they have never seen destruction like this. They have never seen wind so fierce. In Los Angeles, in California, we don't know hurricanes, but imagining a dry hurricane and thinking about what they went through and their lives on the line From the air, we could see people on the ground clearing brush and doing everything that they needed to prevent the next tragedy. So everybody wants to know how to help first responders. Well, the way you can help first responders, and you've heard this from other speakers, is to be prepared. So if you hear that your area is under a warning, then get packed right away. If the order is to evacuate, then evacuate immediately. But as was recommended earlier, evacuate if you have the warning, because if you remember a few days ago when the fires were at its worst, people had difficulty getting through traffic. So thinking of moving forward, yesterday I signed an executive directive to begin to lay the foundation policy-wise for the rebuilding effort. We're going to make it through these next few days, but we want to begin to think about how we rebuild the massive destruction that I saw from the air. We don't want people burdened by red tape and bureaucracy. So my executive directive addresses that. It addresses streamlining the debris removal. It talks about actually immediate action that we can take to make 1,400 units of housing available immediately. Again, that was stuck in the process, but given what we're dealing with now, that process has to go. And then establishing a framework to secure additional regulatory relief and resources. As was mentioned, the assistance centers will start today. The first ever disaster recovery center for victims of the Palisades and Hertz fires will open, which will help people who have lost vital records, birth certificates, driver's license, Social Security, etc. Help those who have experienced loss or damage to their homes apply for disaster relief loans and provide referrals. We heard the public health officers say that nurses will be available at the disaster recovery centers, but also mental health counselors will be as well. So for more information, you can go to lacity.gov. So the center opens at 1 p.m. this afternoon at the UCLA Research Park, and starting tomorrow will be open from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m., 7 days a week. And that's a commitment that every single day we will be addressing people putting their lives back together. So I want to thank UCLA Chancellor Julio Frank. I want to thank Gary Michelson. The South Coast Air Quality Management District is recommending that Angelenos wear the well-fitting medical grade mask while outside. The City of Los Angeles has distributed hundreds of N95 masks throughout Los Angeles in public libraries, recreation centers, and senior centers, and local nonprofits, and we encourage families to pick up their masks today. And finally, I want to acknowledge the thousands of Angelenos who have come together all across the city to help. I'm sure you've seen on the nightly news, hundreds, thousands of people just showing up with providing resources and supplies for victims. But I also want to thank Disney, Netflix, the Wasserman Foundation, Hilton Foundation, Annenberg, SNAP, and so many others for donating millions of dollars to relief efforts. The California Community Foundation's effort has resulted in $14 million and over 20,000 donors. LA, we stand together. We will do what we need to do to be safe over the next couple of days, and then we rebuild. We will rebuild Los Angeles and make Los Angeles the world-class city that we are. And with that, let me introduce Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Thank you very much. As you heard, the Palisades fire updates include 5,100 personnel in the Palisades alone. We are giving this fire everything we've got. This is a particularly dangerous situation from now through tomorrow. The strongest winds will be this evening, and we ask everyone to get prepared now to evacuate. The libraries in Los Angeles County have FEMA staff available until 5 p.m. to provide assistance. If you have received a denial on the FEMA website, Do not get discouraged. Come to one of these locations in person to get help. Our disaster recovery centers, as you have heard, are open from 1 to 8 p.m. today at UCLA Research Park West and Pasadena City College as well. LA Department of Public Health is providing medication access assistance at the disaster recovery centers starting today for those who lost medication in the fires. All Santa Monica, Malibu Unified School District schools, Malibu schools will remain closed. All Santa Monica campuses will be open today. I've been in touch with Santa Monica Mayor Lana Negretti this morning, and she is closely monitoring the situation. Topanga Post Office has been relocated to Santa Monica Post Office. Residents can pick up their mail at 1653 7th Street. For more recovery information, go to recovery.lacounty.gov, which is launched and making improvements, adding resources each and every day to provide the assistance you need and deserve. With regard to power and public health updates, over 20,000 households are facing power outages due to public safety power shutoffs. Please take this moment now to charge your phones, your batteries and devices to make sure you have backup. We'll work to restore cellular access, but know you may be without power. Please plan ahead. Tune in to radio given some of the power outages that we're predicting. Please use your resources. It is unlikely that power will be restored in the Topanga area during the red flag conditions, so please be prepared. Los Angeles County Department of Public Health is providing N95 masks at all LA County libraries. Do not drink water warnings for Waterworks District 29. Please know that bottled water is being distributed at Malibu Equestrian Park. Do not drink water warning for 90272 zip code and the area north of San Vicente. Bottled water is being distributed for this region at the Westwood Recreation Center and adjacent to the Brentwood Country Club. Our LA County emergency proclamation will be ratified at our board meeting later today. This cuts red tape for the county to provide resources as well as to receive state and federal assistance. It prevents price gouging. This includes on rent and housing options, which we know have been impacting people's ability to have shelter. It also includes other ways people are taking advantage of this disaster, and these will not be tolerated. This proclamation also declares a local health emergency to ensure continuity of critical health services and ensures continuity of education for our displaced students. It also creates opportunities to secure financial support and resources for those impacted. To stay informed about the emergency, you can go to emergency.lacounty.gov for the latest updates. And I want to echo the gratitude for all those who are on the front lines, as well as their families who are supporting them, waiting for that call. We are giving them all of the support that we have to ensure they come home safely. We are grateful to the volunteers who are showing up, as well as for the additional proclamation by our Governor, Gavin Newsom, expanding a special session to provide $1 billion to augment the FEMA response, as well as $1.5 billion to bolster state preparedness efforts. We are in constant communication with the White House, Congress, and our state legislature. All levels of government are aligned to support our community members. We especially appreciate FEMA being on the ground to provide assistance, and together we will rebuild. Next up, FEMA Administrator Region 9, Robert Fenton Jr.
Well, thank you. Just first like to talk about some of the actions that we're doing to support LA County, LA City, and all the communities impacted. Our first area is focusing on the response and making sure that all the resources are here that are needed to support the firefighting and ensuring that we're reimbursing all the costs incurred with that effort at 100% as the President directed. The second area we're focused on is really helping those individuals that have been impacted by this fire, and that's where I want to focus my comments in the discussion today. FEMA's assistance is now available for individuals and households impacted by the fires within the LA County area. FEMA has expedited delivery of serious needs assistance. We've already had over 40,000 applications and provided over $8 million. The serious needs assistance is a one-time payment program to help survivors cover costs such as water, food, infant formula, gas, etc., that you may have had since having to be evacuated for the fire. Other forms of FEMA assistance include help with transportation costs, medical bills, personal property, and even, unfortunately for some, funeral costs. FEMA will also help with temporary housing, which includes rental assistance, hotel rooms, and other resources, home repairs, and displacement assistance. I encourage every head of household to apply to FEMA assistance. Not every member of the family has to apply, just the head of the household. And if you're renters, where there's multiple renters for a property, as long as you're each on our renters, you can each apply individually. If you have been evacuated and received damages from this fire, go ahead and register at the disasterassistance.gov website. You could call us at 1-800-621-3362, or you can use the FEMA app to register. If you're affected by the fires and have insurance, you should contact your insurance company and file a claim first before coming to FEMA. After you receive your settlement, contact FEMA if you have unmet needs. You need to submit your insurance documentation to receive any FEMA assistance beyond the serious needs assistance if you were insured. FEMA assistance is not a substitute for insurance and cannot cover all the losses caused by disaster. FEMA assistance is intended to really cover your basic needs and help jumpstart the recovery process. Thankfully, to recent legislation, now changes have occurred that allow FEMA to assist those that are underinsured. However, our maximum grants are $43,600, and there's two different categories for those. So that is the maximum assistance we can provide. There's other federal agencies, such as SBA, they could do low interest loans, and there'll be other forms of assistance to help with some of those unmet needs. We have FEMA staff at various sites across the community to help you apply for FEMA assistance, and are embedded in the first two local disaster recovery centers opening today at 1 p.m. Again, if you're going to go to the recovery center and seek assistance from FEMA with your application, I'd ask that you start the process and register online so our individuals can help you with your application and bring your registration number and any identification you have. I'm working closely with the state of California and local partners to assess the ongoing situation and determine what other FEMA support may be most effective to the communities that have been impacted by this fire. One of the things I wanted to address, and the sheriff talked a little bit about it earlier, is fraud. And unfortunately, we see it common after disasters. Why we hope the best from people. Unfortunately, there's some out there that have other objectives in mind. And so please go ahead, and if you hear of fraud, communicate it. Anyone representing FEMA will give you identification if they are talking to you about your application. And we recently launched a rumor webpage on our disasterassistance.gov webpage, and you could go into it and just search common rumors. And there's a list of rumors that are out there right now. I just want to address a couple of those. One of them is that we will provide vouchers to help you with housing. All the assistance we provide is financial assistance, and it'll be directly deposited into your account. So we don't provide vouchers. There may be other organizations, nonprofits, that may provide some type of voucher, but we don't at FEMA. Another rumor was that we will cover 100% of the uninsured costs. Again, we provide up to 2 grants at $43,600. Is the maximum assistance we can provide. The state, if you receive a max grant, adds $10,000 to that. There's other federal agencies that can provide assistance above that, but we will only help those that are underinsured, and we can't duplicate benefits from those that are insured. The 100% in the President's declaration was specific to emergency costs for fighting the fire and for the debris removal, which we'll be focusing on in the days ahead, as the mayor outlined in some of her executive orders. And then everyone needs to go ahead and submit an application in order to receive assistance, and needs to make sure they have a registration number. And if you need help, should go to those recovery centers. Lastly, we continue to financially support all the costs associated with the response to the fires. And we have every federal agency here with us available to support any needs that the state, the county, or the local communities affected in the city have. With that, that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, and Chair Catherine Barger thanks the following elected officials for being here today, showing up and showing their support. We have Los Angeles County Supervisor of the 1st District, Hilda Solis, Los Angeles County Supervisor of the 2nd District, Holly J. Mitchell, Congressman George Whitesides, and State Senator Sasha Renee Perez. This is the end of our press briefing. We will do one-on-one briefings. There will be a press gaggle for City Mayor over here on my left. And for other one-on-ones, please approach and we will connect you to the appropriate speaker. Thank you.
No Q&A. No Q&A. No Q&A. All right. Take us off, Magnolia, and take us back to the last reported fire that is 0% contained, though it's not progressing. This is the auto fire. Okay, so any comments on the press conference there? I mean, it seems like it's a lot of repeated things. It seems like it's the same figureheads that have been speaking every day, like clockwork, 11 a.m., 8 a.m. Pacific. They also do a subsequent evening press conference. Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, you know, we hear about the arrests, few additional people arrested, plans. They're telling people to be prepared. Be prepared for the next couple days. Listed here are mugshots. Look at these beauties. Look at these beauties.
Yeah.
Mugshots. This is coming from the Santa Monica Police Department. We've been using some of them on our thumbnails. Man, some of them are scary, huh? These are the looters and burglars. Well, there's an arsonist, I believe, in this mix. The Escobar guy, the guy that got Azusa, the one that got arrested for arson that they announced yesterday from Pioneer Park. I'm not so sure he's in this mix of misfits.
Which one?
Jose Carranza-Escobar, the one that got arrested for arson, but he got arrested in Azusa. This is mugshots released by the Santa Monica Police Department. I think these are the burglars and looters.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to find that guy's mugshot, and that guy's mugshot is not available. The arsonist.
This one?
Yeah, that guy. No mugshot on him yet that I've known of. Like, not identifying him as the person that did this with a mugshot. I have not seen one. And if you look, look at his attire there. It's some sort of like brownish, like sweatshirt. If you look in the list of mugshots of the individuals, put the mugshots back up, nothing matches. Plus, this was in a different area. So I don't think that suspect, the arson suspect, mugshot is out there yet. I wish they would put it out there.
Oh. Yeah. So one thing they talked about in the press conference, they made reference to FEMA. So yesterday there was, I guess, Joe Biden held a briefing talking about FEMA assistance for people in the California wildfires, and he announced $20 extra compared to the North Carolina victims.
$770. You lose everything, and they claim that will get people some groceries or get people situated. $770, considering the cost of living it's even significantly higher than it is in the Carolinas. I feel like the Carolina residents got gypped. It's an insult, but this is even a bigger insult.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a bigger an insult than the Carolinas, because pretty much Carolinas, everything in California is probably double than it is in the Carolinas. Ridiculous.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So $770. That will get you what? A hotel room for a night?
Well, the other thing, remember in North Carolina, a whole bunch of people in North Carolina were denied the 750 when they applied. Yep. And so, and a lot of them said they were denied because they had homeowners insurance, or there was different criteria that they didn't meet. So I have a feeling in California, most people also will be denied, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Here we have the clip of Biden announcing this yesterday.
So we're going to need Congress to step up to provide funding to get this done. And we're going to get that done, God willing. Over the next few days, we're expecting strong wind gusts that could move, more fires, more fuel for fires. And I'm continuing to direct the federal government to do everything possibly can to help California. I've sent equipment to Los Angeles, including helicopters, tanker planes, and fire engines. And our allies in Canada and Mexico have sent 130 firefighters and emergency responders, as the team knows. I've asked Bob Fenton of FEMA who helped Hawaii after the Maui fires, to take the lead in coordinating the federal support and debris recovery and removal in Los Angeles. And the first step of that is coordinating between FEMA, EPA, and the Army Corps of Engineers to remove the hazardous debris before you can get in and remove it all. And that hazardous debris includes things like propane tanks, electric vehicles, battery walls. Then the monumental task of removing the rest of that debris can begin, but it's a monumental task. And I've activated 500 Marines from the base in Pendleton to stand by to help in search and rescue, airlift support, and food and water distribution. And I want to be clear, we're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770, one-time payment, so they can quickly purchase things like water, baby formula, and prescriptions. So far, nearly 6,000 survivors have registered to do just that, and $5.1 million has gone out. And I encourage everyone who has been impacted to get assistance. Go to disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800-621-3362. Let me repeat that number. 1-800-621-3362. Before I turn this over to Vice President Harris, let me say again to all the incredible firefighters and first responders, thank you, thank you, thank you. Los Angeles is a city of angels, and you're now the angels, all of you. You're the angels literally saving people's lives, and we owe you. We owe your families who are also in harm's way, and you're still going out and doing your job. To the people of Los Angeles, thank you for sticking together, for helping one another through an unimaginable loss. And I want you to know, and I mean this, I want you to know we have no higher priority than the safety of you folks in Los Angeles. We're going to keep doing everything possible to help you get through this. And Vice President Harris, I now turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So what is happening in Los Angeles is truly heartbreaking, and there's an extraordinary amount of trauma that so many people are experiencing through loss of life, loss of their homes, loss of normalcy. And what I would ask is that on this day 7 of the fires, in the midst of the extraordinary exhaustion that everyone is feeling on so many levels, that we stay vigilant. The next 48 hours, as we will hear, are very critical. The winds are going to pick up with wind gusts that may reach as much as 70 miles per hour. And so this is the time that everyone must be vigilant, follow whatever orders you are receiving from your local authorities. If you are in any area where you may be called to evacuate, collect your belongings that you would want to take in the tragic event that you have to evacuate, and please be ready and prepared in that event. Lots of people who still have a home, who are under evacuation order, I know you want to get back home, but this is a time to be patient. There is still so much work that firefighters, police officers, FEMA, and others are doing that is about search and rescue. The work that still needs to be done to ensure the safety around utility lines. This work is still very much in progress, and so it's critically important that, to the extent you can find, anything that gives you an ability to be patient in this extremely dangerous and unprecedented crisis, that you do. But I'd echo what the President said. We have seen acts of courage, heroism, building of community, people looking out for strangers, and we applaud and are in awe of the generosity of spirit that we are seeing throughout the region. And so let us just always again thank our firefighters, our police officers, our first responders for what they are doing to personally sacrifice so much for the sake of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We'll now go to the U.S. Forest Service Chief Randy Moore, who's out in Los Angeles. Chief Moore, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Vice President. The situation remains very dynamic with immediate threats to life and safety. One important thing to name is that unlike what we normally would think of with wildland fires, where they're often on the landscape for weeks, these incidents are urban conflagrations, whereas once the winds are over and if containment continues to increase, we would expect these incidents to move rapidly from fire suppression to recovery. Now, in terms of the weather, we're expecting a period of elevated to critical fire weather risk through Wednesday, as the Vice President had indicated, and we're expected to have red flag warnings in effect for strong gust of winds, low humidity, and very dry vegetation for much of Los Angeles, Ventura, and neighboring counties. We're also expecting to have moderate Santa Ana winds, which begins today, later today, through Wednesday. And as the Vice President had indicated, we're looking at frequent winds of about 20 to 30 miles per hour, but gusts anywhere from 50 to 70 miles per hour are very likely. Right now, our biggest concern is new starts. And with this wind event or new growth on the Palisades or Eaton fires, these are high possibilities. So our personnel are working really hard to strengthen the existing containment lines. And also from Monday through Wednesday, we're looking to have minimum relative humidities, which is expected to remain in the upper single digits, somewhere around 20%. So what that's basically saying is that the vegetation will continue to stay dry. And by Friday, we expect several degrees of cooling and a large increase in humidity Friday into Saturday. So this is the good news on the back end of that wind. In terms of fire activity, so the Forest Service remains in unified command on the Eaton fire. The Lydia fire is no longer active, and the Hearst fire is no longer in unified command. The threats are minimal on those two fires. Now, regarding the Eaton's fire, it's holding at about 14,000 acres. Containment has grown yesterday at 27% to 33% today, and there's no new growth, which is the good news. However, firefighters are reinforcing that perimeter, and we'll have to hold that under these challenging conditions through Wednesday. We're looking at nearly 40,000 structures remain threatened, and earlier remote sensing is reporting a number of structures have been destroyed. And we are in the process of doing damage assessments by ground truthing to see what we think that we're seeing from the air. There's 8 confirmed civilian fatalities as a result of this fire, and as of yesterday, there were 50 crews, 375 engines, 16 helicopters, and over 3,400 personnel that was assigned to this fire. The Hearst fire is 95% contained, spread is minimal, and it has calmed down, and the repopulation started yesterday. We still have about 100 firefighters out there doing what we call mop-up duties. That's where they're seeing smoke to put the fire completely out. So we'll continue to patrol the area and do mop-up activities. We continue to support the Palisades fire. We're having moderate fire behavior that persists. We currently have about 23,700 acres that are burned, and the fire is about 18% contained as we speak. There's also 2 confirmed civilian fatalities on that fire as well. We currently have about 115 crews, 540 engines, 44 helicopters, and 5,123 personnel that are assigned to this fire. To date, we're successfully filling resource requests for both initial tag and incident support. And as of this morning, there's about 9,000 firefighters that are assigned to these large fires that we're talking about here. Now, this does not include the many who's assigned to their home units or pre-positioned to their different units to provide initial attack on new starts. And we continue to have firefighters coming from all across the country, relieving some of the firefighters who have been pressing really, really hard. And we'll continue to mobilize personnel as well as equipment. Now, aviation resources that is operational as of this morning, we have 4 Forest Service and 1 CAL FIRE area supervision modules. These are for the lead planes that are going in, guiding the large planes. We have 12 air tankers. We have 18 water dropping helicopters. We have 3 water scoopers, and all 8 of the Department of Defense modular tankers are at South Ops or down in this area. 7 of them are in service, and we're still working on 1 that has some mechanical problems on the tail of the plane. That's expected to be fixed and operational later this evening, so for activity or for duty tomorrow. So tomorrow we're looking to have all 8 that are in operations, and as I said earlier, we have 7 that are operating now. A request for assistance has been sent, as I mentioned earlier, to our Canadian partners, looking at mobilizing 2 of the CL-415 water scoopers. They are expected to clear customs on Wednesday, and they'll be available after they clear federal inspections and check rides. You know, it's important to, when we talk about aviation, it's really important to emphasize that aviation resources cannot fly safely when the winds are high, like what we're talking about. So this is a situation that needs to be continually monitored. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to closely coordinate among all partners in managing aircraft in this limited airspace. Our National Airspace Coordinator is heavily engaged with all of the people that are concerned, looking at safe operation of our aircraft in this area. And, you know, we're working with CAL FIRE to evaluate the offers that we're getting from our international partners, and this thing is dynamic and is rapidly changing. But given where we are in a year, we have very little competition for firefighting resources nationwide, and so we can still draw upon untapped federal, state, and local firefighting resources. Our initial tag rate continues to be really high. You know, we're staffing firefighters 24/7. To give you an idea, we have right at about 2,000 federal firefighters that are in station for what we call quick response emergent fires. That's the new starts. To give you an idea of how successful this group of people are, this group of firefighters are, since January 6th, we've had 235 new fire starts. And we have kept many of those, just about all of them, down to 5 acres or less. And I say that because that's pretty significant considering just the 4 large fires that we've had and the damages it's causing. This team of firefighters, both state, local, federal, and others tribes, have kicked back 235 new starts of fires. So we're looking at moving into post-fire recovery at some point, so the efforts are already underway. We've already provided post-fire imagery maps to the state's watershed emergency response teams, as well as the federal response team for both the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire. And we're in the process of also doing the same thing for the Hearst fire. Now, these post-fire images that we are providing, they're basically soil burn severity, which a team uses to produce a soil burn severity map. So we can look at the type of reclamation activity that need to take place after the fire. The Forest Service is also coordinating with our fellow USDA agencies, including Rural Development, Farm Service Agency, and Natural Resources Conservation Service to provide an integrated effort for long-term recovery needs. And our research department is also working with the City of Los Angeles and other water providers to provide some ash contamination modeling for water users. So we're likely to have boots on the ground of these teams by Thursday morning after the red flag incident subsides. End of report.
Randy, is there any more support the federal government can be providing support to the firefighters doing this heroic work? Anything else we could do?
I think when you look at the amount of aircraft, I think we provided everything that's been asked for and that's needed. In terms of firefighters, we have what we call UTFs that's unable to fill. We don't have any unable to fill positions that have been requested to date.
Thank you. Madam Vice President?
Randy, if, God forbid, the fires go beyond Los Angeles County, given the surge of resources into Los Angeles, what is your level of confidence that we'll be able to get the resources to any neighboring county in time?
I'm confident that we'll be able to get the resources. We have access right now to about 15,000 firefighters that are not currently being used, that's not needed. So if things got out of hand, and let's just say that the wind conditions blew the fire back out into the wildland, we do have firefighters pre-positioned in a lot of different areas to look at that initial attack. And I mentioned the 235 fires now that these same groups of people have been able to back down to about 5 or 6 major fires.
Can I ask one more question, Randy? Are you hearing any misinformation that's going out? False assertions that are being made about the state of the effort to fight the fire?
Well, I mean, there's always rumors with large fires like this, Mr. President, and one of the things that everybody wants to know is how these fires start. And until the team of investigators conclude their investigations, we don't really know. And so there's a lot of speculation out there about how these fires start, but there's no proof to validate a lot of these rumors that we're hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Now to Administrator Criswell from FEMA.
All right, thank you, Liz. Mr. President, Madam Vice President, you know, at your direction, I was on the ground there on Thursday and Friday. I had an opportunity to meet with incident commanders at both the Palisades fire as well as the Eaton fire. And again, I think you see the images on television, but it just doesn't compare to what you see in person, right? And you see the devastation. I mean, you talk to the family members and you talk to the community members, and they talk so much about how proud they are of their community. And I think one of the things we've talked about a lot is, you know, they say the community is gone, but the community is there. The community spirit will continue to exist. And we had that long conversation with the Pasadena mayor when I was there, and it was, you know, really telling on how proud they are of these communities. And so that's why, as Randy and his teams are continuing to try to put out these fires, FEMA's programs are in place to help support all of these families that have been impacted. I think right now we have about 8 shelters that are still open. The shelter numbers have been remaining at about 700 to 800, you know, day over day, which means there's a lot of people that are staying with family and friends, or they're staying in hotel rooms. And so that's one of the things we can cover. It's one of the programs through the Major Disaster Declaration is we can reimburse these families for the hotel costs that they're experiencing now, in addition to giving them that serious needs assistance of $770 for like clothes. They just need to buy clothes. They left with nothing. I mean, so those are the first kinds of not information, but resources that we're going to be able to provide to so many families. And in addition to the just over 6,000 that you mentioned, Mr. President, that have already gotten the serious needs assistance, we've got almost 33,000 that have registered for assistance. And this number goes up a little bit every day, but we think it's going to continue to rise as we can get into the communities We have our disaster survivor assistance team members that are going out into the community. You know, they normally walk door to door. In this case, the fires are still burning, so they can't. And so we have them in the shelters, but we've also put them in the public libraries, where we know people are probably going to help register to get information. And then we'll continue to work with the mayor and the governor on other places where we can send our folks so we can reach the people that haven't gotten into the system yet. And so we'll continue to work with them to make sure that we can support them as they register for assistance. And some of them are already getting notices and letters, you know, that the information has been received, but it's not final yet. There's a lot of confusion about that right now, and we recognize that.
Explain that a little more.
So when somebody registers for assistance and they have not submitted all of their documentation, like what their insurance company is going to cover or not cover, they'll get a letter from us saying you're not approved yet.
They get a letter from, they have no home. How they get a letter?
It's through email. So they get an email notification. Yeah, they get an email notification to check their case and that it's been updated. But we want them to know that it just means we need the rest of that documentation. So I've directed my team to start calling every one of these families that have already gotten this type of a notification so we can make sure that they know that, hey, we just need more documentation. We want to work with you and help you through this because it's traumatizing, right? And then to have this bureaucracy, you know, limit that. I'm trying to take away the bureaucracy at your direction. That's how much can I get rid of? This is one of the things we're going to do is add that personal touch and call all of these families that have already received this notice so we can get them the assistance that they're eligible for and help them upload the documentation that they might need.
You hear reported by the press that there's misinformation being put out there from some sources, or even people identifying themselves and going on the air saying such and such. Are you seeing much of that, and does it have an impact on the public?
We are seeing some of that, similar to what we saw in North Carolina after Hurricanes Helene, Hurricane Milton. We even saw somebody put out a way to spread a message through phones that said FEMA's going to provide 3 years of coverage for hotel rooms, which was completely false and not sent by us. And so our external affairs team works hard to put out the right information. We work with the community to try to get the trusted voices within the community to help get the right message out and know who they need to go to in order to get this process started. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that try to take advantage of these families that have lost everything, try to apply for assistance on their behalf, try to get them to apply in a false website. Those are the things that we see in almost every disaster. It just continues to get worse and worse. It seems like disaster after disaster.
Given that the winds may pick up tonight and the evacuation geography may change, how are individuals and families going to be alerted if they are now required to evacuate, especially if it happens during the night?
Yeah, that's something that the state and the county have a system to do a wireless emergency alert. It'll go right to their cell phone if there's an evacuation order for their area. And even if somebody drives into the area, it will let them know that they are in an evacuation zone. When I was there, my phone would go off when I would drive into the different areas. When I would drive into Pasadena saying this is an evacuation zone, we need to leave. And so that alert system goes out and they have their own provider that sends those out. It's all directed at the county level.
And then do you know whether the requests that have been made of the federal government, local, state, are they all being met, or are there any that have yet to be met?
So all of the firefighting requests that are going through Randy and all of his folks are all being met. We are starting this planning process for the recovery, and we're pre-positioning some resources like food and water closer to the area if they need it. California's resource, they got a lot of resources, and so they have plenty that they're drawing from their own stockpiles right now and don't need ours, but we want to make sure if they do, we have ours ready to go. And so anything that the state has asked for outside of the fires that FEMA would provide, we've been able to meet all of those requests.
Liz, do you have anything to add?
Thank you very much. All good. So that.
I think it was important to get this out. Why are they screaming? This is wild.
They were all packed in there.
Wow. It was good to hear the federal, what they're going to do here. Apparently, they're going back there after the Santa Ana winds die down after tomorrow. It looks like Thursday they're going to start. You saw a FEMA director there. You saw Mayor Orcus there. He didn't say a word, did he?
No, I didn't hear from him.
Biden talking about, the FEMA, the response, Biden asking questions. I saw that yesterday, so I thought it was interesting, the play. It was 25 minutes, a little boring, but it was always good to hear what the feds are up to. What are the feds? But this could all be lame duck too, because in a week, that administration is gone.
Yeah.
So the whole response could be totally different.
Yeah, they're on the way out, and there's already U-Hauls packing stuff up and carrying it out. So it is kind of, I'm not going to say irrelevant, but whatever they're doing or whatever they're planning to do will probably change very soon anyway. So currently they're offering $770 to victims of the fires. We heard from the woman there who I guess represented FEMA. She explained that people typically will be denied. Like we talked about before, if they mark that they have insurance, they will be automatically denied because they'll ask for further documentation, documenting what your insurance is going to cover and what it's not going to cover. So they're asking for all this paperwork and different things like that. My opinion, the only thing someone needs to provide is their zip code, and they should get the 770. It should be that simple.
So on some other issues here, Mike Johnson has said today that President-elect Donald Trump is expected to visit California soon to look at what's going on there. Unclear what day he's going. Could be this week, could be after he's inaugurated, but he's expected to go. I think possibly he could go there maybe Thursday or Friday. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Another note, they're talking about 2 arson suspects arrested Monday in that press conference. And I'm looking at follow-ups here of what was said already. 2 people were arrested in separate incidents Monday on suspicion of arson. That's what the LAPD Chief McDowell said. 1 suspect was arrested after igniting a bushfire in Van Nuys, with the LAPD extinguished upon arrival. And another ignited a trash can on fire in West LA. North Hollywood police arrested another arson suspect on Sunday night. That suspect had an outstanding felony warrant for arson and was attempting to use a barbecue lighter to light fires. What is that?
Yeah.
Someone is already that got arrested already had arson warrant out for his arrest. Jeez. Wacky stuff, man, out of there, man. Wacky people, man. Wacky people. Well, that's pretty much all the updates. Anything else to add, Magnolia?
No, I did want to mention this. I don't know if people have seen these clips of Gavin Newsom going around the last couple of days. We watched a video a couple days ago where he was speaking about rebuilding, and he mentioned that he spoke to the governor of Hawaii to talk to him about the spectators that come, or the people that want to come and buy up the land and things like that. He was talking about that in a news clip, And in the clip, he's like swaying from side to side. He does this weird thing with his shoulders. He's like moving back and forth. And then yesterday there was another clip that came out of him speaking, and he was standing there swaying side to side slowly. His eyes looked weird. When the reporter asked him a question, he literally he said to her, "I literally don't know what you're referring to." The question she asked was very simple, but he's like swaying back and forth, side to side, and people are wondering, like, does he have some sort of drug problem we don't know about, or what's going on with him?
Let's see what's up. Let's see him.
It's very bizarre behavior. I have a clip I put together. There was also a meme that someone did that I included, but I'm not going to play the sound on it because Jonathan said we'll get copyright for the music. But I have this clip. I just want to show this because I was watching this last night.
In Hawaii, you had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like.
Governor, the budget is obviously a paramount process for you and the legislature, and I just want to ask you about something on the other end of the budget on a different topic on public safety. Do you think it looks good to the taxpayer for an assembly member who is also the wife of the Attorney General to lead a committee that oversees his budget and other departments?
I literally don't know what you're referring to.
Assemblymember Mia Bonta is set to lead the Budget Sub-5 Committee on Public Safety. I mean, the Attorney General oversees ethics in the state, distributes ethics training to state officials.
I'm just telling you, I thank you for informing me. The legislature makes their determination. I have no idea.
You don't, is it ethical or not?
I don't even know what you're referring to. I'm here for the first time.
So
And
he
this
looks
is
a
the
little
meme
high.
This is the meme that they made, and it has that music. What was this music from? It was from something else recent that happened. I forget. But yeah.
Springfield, Ohio.
Yes, the eating the dogs, eating the cats remix. The music from that they put on this meme of him. But yeah, it's just like, what is this? What is going on?
Yeah, that's strange. Maybe he's
And
on
this one's very bizarre because he's moving really, like, these are very exaggerated movements. He's moving across the frame. They even have to move the camera because he's moving so much. And then his eyes are all weird. And then it's like he suddenly realizes that someone's asking him a question. He hasn't been listening, or he doesn't know where it's just so strange. So what is going on with him? Why is he acting like? Is this normal? Has this been going on a long time and we just never noticed? It's strange.
Yeah, well, definitely moving forward, all eyes on Newsom, Bass, and this whole situation moving forward. Yeah, people are going to study his body language for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we gave the updates. There's nothing else really going on that I see. I see no flare up. So let's pray that there is no additional. We don't need these fires anymore. We don't need these fires anymore. Everyone's on edge. Seems like the way these fires are breaking out, always in a new community, making more residents already on edge. It's just, this needs to stop.
Yeah, I think people are over it. And another thing with all the warnings and the evacuations and everything that's been going on, a lot of people still have not even been back to assess the damage. So a lot of people that lost their homes have not even been back to see it. And so I think people are ready for for this to move out of here. Today, there's still a lot of concern because of the winds. Today's the day that they said would be very high winds again. But yeah, it looks like they're attacking these fires a lot more proactively than they were when all this started, and they literally did nothing. So.
All right. Well, we got our eyes on this and look into these suspects that get arrested. We'll post more mugshots and anything else related to this that pops out breaking wise. We'll come back.
Yes.
Have a great
Yeah,
morning,
and
everyone.
yeah, and just to let everyone know, I mentioned in the chat earlier, so we are heading out of town tomorrow for a few days. We mentioned the cabin trip, and then we plan to be in DC. Probably we'll get there the evening of the 18th and the 19th. We'll be doing coverage of the inauguration, the crowds, and just, whatever else we see going on.
They're
We'll
on
be
like
reporting
lockdown. They're like on lockdown in DC. They're setting up like barriers and really fortifying DC
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now.
so all the roads are closed in DC for the 20th, which is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So that will be Monday, the inauguration. But yeah, we'll be reporting from there. Any shenanigans that pop off, we'll be there.
High temperature, 30 degrees. Yikes.
Yeah.
Hand warmer time. Hand warmers bundled up. We'll be out there in the streets. We'll be out there in the streets covering. We'll see what happens there. So appreciate everyone's support. Thanks for watching. And if anything else breaks on this, you will hear it here on JLR Investigates.
Yep.
Have a good day, everyone. Be safe out there.
All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.